Discover how a heartwarming bond with their new maid transformed a billionaire's son's math struggles into an unexpected journey of friendship. Max sat on the edge of his plush bed, staring at his math homework under the glaring bright light of his room. It felt like a dark cloud was closing in on him, suffocating him in frustration. Luxury cars whooshed past his window, their polished bodies gleaming under the California sun, while he felt like a ship lost at sea, adrift in a tempest of expectations. His parents, billionaires in the tech industry, always seemed so sure that their wealth would guarantee success, but the pressure only made him feel heavier, drowning under the weight of his dreams. "Max, dinner's ready." His mother called from downstairs, her voice echoing through the opulence of their home. He forced a smile, feigning interest, but his stomach churned. As he pushed the papers aside, a soft sound caught his ear. Someone was tidying up in the next room. It was Maria, their new maid, a single mother with a heart full of hope and a determination that piqued his curiosity. That evening, he hesitantly knocked on her door. Maria? Can you help me with my math?" He stammered, the words clawing their way out of his throat. Max half expected her to turn him down, but her warm smile lit up her eyes. "Of course, Max. Let's tackle it together," she replied. As they worked through the equations, the tension in his chest began to fade. With each mistake, Maria didn't scold him. Instead, she encouraged him, her laughter filling the air, creating a sanctuary amid oppressive expectations. "I came from nothing, she shared, wiping her brow as they took a break. "I didn't have the luxury of choice. All I want is a better life for my daughter." Her words struck him like lightning. No one ever talked about the struggles beneath the surface, especially not in this mansion built on privilege. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, with math becoming a shared language that united them. Max felt lighter, buoyed by Maria's resilience. He began to make progress, grinning at math problems he'd once dreaded. But then, the ground beneath him shook with a family crisis, an abrupt scandal that put his parents' reputation on the line, and his connection with Maria was suddenly under threat. At a stuffy family gathering where expectations loomed like a dark cloud overhead, Maria's presence was met with disdain by the guests around him. The urge to hide settled in his bones. Yet, here he stood, torn between two worlds. Would he defend her against the whispers? Risk everything for a friendship that had become his lifeline? Each heartbeat thundered loud in his chest. Max's heart raced, confusion mingling with fear. He couldn't ignore his growing loyalty to Maria. As he looked around the room, the laughter felt hollow, and he realized that the true connection he craved lay far from the comforts of wealth. Would he break free from the chains of privilege or sink into the expectations of his family? The night air felt thick with unanswered questions, leaving his spirit on edge, eager for resolution. Would he choose to stand up for what mattered? Only time would tell. Max felt the weight of the world pressing down on him as he stood frozen at the party. The glittering chandeliers above cast a harsh light on the faces surrounding him, smiling masks hiding judgment. Each clink of glasses reminded him of the divide. On one side were his parents, navigating the delicate dance of wealth and influence. On the other was Maria, who'd shown him a world beyond his gilded cage. "Max, please come here," his mother's voice sliced through the chatter. He turned reluctantly, the knot in his stomach tightening as he approached her. Her perfectly manicured hands gestured to a cluster of guests. "This is Mr. Hastings, he has strong ties with the media." She emphasized the word, strong, a sharp reminder of how their reputation teetered on the edge. "Nice to meet you," Mr. Hastings said, though his eyes flickered with curiosity as they assessed Max. The expectations of the room weighed heavily, and for the first time, he wanted to rebel against them. "I need to step outside for a moment," he said abruptly, the words spilling out before he could stop them. He turned on his heel and hurried toward the back door, escaping the noise and whispers that suffocated him. The cool night air washed over him as he stepped into the garden, the scent of jasmine comforting against the chaos inside. Deep down, he knew the party was a facade. Conversations filled with hollow laughter and backhanded compliments made him feel sick. In that moment, he could think only of Maria and the honesty she brought to his life. "Max." A voice called out. He turned to find Maria standing at the edge of the garden, her face illuminated by the moonlight, eyes wide with concern. "Hey, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice rising with a mix of surprise and relief. "I needed to get some fresh air. I hoped to escape the standing noise," she smiled, but there was an edge to it. "Are you okay?" Max looked away, feeling the tide of uncertainty wash over him again. "I thought I could handle it," but his voice trailed off, his heart pounding at the thought of how she might interpret his fear. But Maria stepped closer, her expression earnest. "You know, you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not, Max. I can see you're struggling with this. You're not alone." The sincerity in her voice struck a chord deep within him. "I'm scared, Maria. Scared of what my parents will think, scared of what everyone will say. But I can't help but want to fight back." Maria's eyes sparkled with understanding. "Sometimes, it's the fight that makes us who we are. It's easy to hide behind wealth and expectations, but true strength comes from connection where you choose to belong." Her words ignited a flame inside him. Suddenly, it became clear, he didn't want to hide anymore. He wanted to stand by Maria, to support her as she had supported him. In that moment of clarity, he made a decision. "I have to tell them. I have to defend our friendship," he said, feeling adrenaline surge. "Tonight, I'll show them what really matters." Maria's face shimmered with hope, but also fear. "Are you sure, Max? It could change everything." Max nodded, determination solidifying like steel. "Yes. There's no going back. It's time for them to see me for who I truly am. It's time for them to know you. Are you with me?" The silence that followed hung thick and charged between them, both of them knowing that this step could shatter everything. But the prospect of standing tall in his truth lit a fire in Max's heart. As they stood together under the stars, the weight of the world felt lighter, replaced by an unexpected swell of courage. But before they could gather their thoughts to head inside, they heard his father's voice ringing through the gathering. "Where is that boy?" It was a question laced with irritation, cutting through the tranquility of the night. Max exchanged a glance with Maria, the unspoken anticipation of what was to come hanging heavily in the air. In that moment, their fates intertwined. Would he finally challenge the expectations that had suffocated him for so long? Together, they stepped back inside, ready to confront a world that needed to change. But as they entered, he couldn't shake the feeling that something much bigger was about to unfold. Would they emerge from this night turned allies, or would fractures deepen in the moments to come? The moment they crossed the threshold into the ballroom, Max's heart raced. The air thickened with feigned laughter and the unmistakable scent of expensive perfume. Dazed by the contrast of the garden's tranquility to the raucous energy inside, he locked eyes with Maria. She nodded, a silent encouragement that together they could face whatever lay ahead. His parents stood just a few paces away. His mother was chatting animatedly with Mr. Hastings, her image of perfection punctuated by her expertly curled hair and silk gown. In contrast, Max felt rumpled and disheveled. He could already sense the eyes of the guests flicking toward him, judging, weighing the gravity of his return. "Max." His father called out, a sharp edge to his tone. "There you are. We've been looking all over for you." "Sorry, Dad," Max replied, taking a deep breath and stepping forward. This was at the moment where everything could change. "I needed a moment outside." His father frowned, sensing the rebellion brewing beneath his son's calm facade. "You can't just run away from responsibilities. We have guests, and we need to maintain our—" he hesitated, searching for the right words, "our reputation." Max bit his tongue, but the words Maria had spoken echoed in his mind. The urge to defend himself surged. I don't care about our reputation, Dad. What I care about is being honest about everything. Silence fell over the room. Conversations ground to a halt, and the laughter faded into an awkward murmur. All eyes fixated on Max, waiting to see how this confrontation would unfold. Among the cluster of guests, a few exchanged glances, intrigue lighting their expressions. Honest? His father stepped forward, disbelief etched into his features. And what does that mean for you? For this family? You think honesty comes above everything else? Max turned to Maria, who stood quietly behind him, a beacon of support. He could almost feel the warmth radiating off her. It means I'm tired of pretending. Tired of hiding. He felt strength coursing through him as he spoke the words that had long been suppressed. I want you all to meet Maria. She is my friend and she matters to me. The crowd stirred, whispers erupting like firecrackers. Some were shocked, others amused. Max faced his parents, seeking an unreadable expression in their eyes. Would they see the boy standing before them, or the disobedient son? Maria took a step forward, her presence bold under the weight of scrutiny. I understand your concerns. But sometimes, we need different perspectives to realize what truly matters. Max saw the subtle change in Maria, her nervousness slipping into fierce conviction. It inspired him to hold his ground. She has shown me there's more to life than what money can buy. There's truth in every friendship, in every connection. His mother opened her mouth, then closed it, caught off guard. Her perfect world seemed to entwine with uncertainty, unraveling at the seams. Max, his father began slowly, this is not how things are done. You're risking everything. Maybe that's exactly what I need to do, Max replied. Silence enveloped the room again. The air crackled with tension and possibility, but then, from the back of the room, a voice called out, slicing through the uncertainty. Young man, how dare you bring someone like her into our home? It's ridiculous. The disdain dripped from Mrs. Thompson, an old family friend, pinning them with her icy glare. Max felt the blood rush in his ears, but he stood resolute. And why shouldn't I, Mrs. Thompson? Isn't love and friendship what we ought to value most? As his challenging words echoed around the ballroom, Max's heartbeat quickened. It was no longer just about him. It was about standing for what he believed in, for the future he wanted to create not just for himself, but for Maria too. Maria stepped beside him, shoulders squared, ready for whatever backlash would come. Max took a deep breath, ready for the whirlwind of consequences that could follow. But for the first time, there was a flicker of hope gleaming in what lay ahead. The atmosphere felt electric. Would this bold stand cultivate change? Or would they retreat further into the expectations of their class? The answer hung heavy in the air, suspense crackling like sparks waiting to ignite. Max knew that the heart of the battle was just beginning, and with his future uncertain, he prepared for the fallout. But one thing remained clear, he was finally ready to fight for what was real, and Maria stood beside him. And as the murmurs swirled around him like a storm, Max whispered a silent wish to hold on to his newfound courage. Would it be enough to rewrite the story already set against him? Max's heart thundered like a drum in his chest. The weight of the room pressed down around him, but he could feel Maria's unwavering presence beside him, a pillar of strength as the tide of judgment flowed toward them. He scanned the crowd, faces twisted in confusion and disdain, as laughter and clinking glasses transformed into a condescending hush. Exactly who do you think you are? Mrs. Thompson's voice hissed again, like a snake ready to strike. You're playing with fire, Max. This is not how you uphold our family's legacy. Maybe it's about time that legacy changed, Max shot back, the anger bubbling up inside him. Staying silent has cost me enough. It's costing everyone we care about. He could see his mother's eyes widen, her well-maintained facade beginning to crack. Legacy? What about love, support, true friendship? Maria interjected, her voice steady and clear but laced with emotion. Don't you see? The strength of a family isn't just found in wealth or status. It's in the connections we build. You might not understand, but that matters. A flicker of recognition flashed in his mother's eyes, as if she too were contemplating the heavy price of her cherished stability. Max found it oddly inspiring. Perhaps he wasn't entirely alone in this battle. The murmurs intensified, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Whispers of disbelief traveled from one cluster of guests to another. Max's gaze dropped to the floor, but he didn't look away for long. He needed to stand firm, not just for Maria but for everything he had experienced at her side, the late-night talks that turned into early morning musings, the shared dreams that felt larger than life. Love was worth fighting for. Max, his mother finally broke the silence, her voice sharper now. What is it you're trying to prove? You're going to ruin your future. Am I? Or am I choosing the kind of future I want? The words escaped him, raw and liberated. If that future doesn't include being a puppet, then I'm standing on the right side of history. Every eye in the room seemed glued to him, anticipation hanging in the air like an unspoken challenge. The piano that had been playing softly in the corner came to a halt, the sudden silence amplifying the tension thrumming through the ballroom. Max, you're not being realistic, his father admonished, stepping forward. You're underestimating the consequences of this. Emotions have no place in business or social standing. Then maybe that's the problem. He gestured wildly, as anger mixed with the roar of adrenaline pulsing through his veins. It's always been business, not feelings. But we're human beings. We deserve to care for one another. As the words tumbled out, the crowd echoed in a mixture of gasps and murmurs, acknowledgement rippling through them. In that moment, he was no longer a son or a disappointment. He was just a young man fighting for something pure. Look at her. He pointed at Maria, who stood firm like a lighthouse in the storm. She cares for me. She has shown me what honesty and vulnerability are. I won't let her be disrespected because of class or prejudice. The tension shifted ever so slightly, a collective gasp escaping pairs of lips around the room, and even Mrs. Thompson's expression faltered, uncertainty creeping into her steely demeanor. Then, quieted whispers erupted into something louder, a blend of indignation, intrigue, and even curiosity. Friends of his parents began to murmur, some with admiration while others with scorn. But among them, a few began to nod in agreement, the tide subtly starting to turn. Max felt a spark of hope. Would this result in change, or would despair once again settle in the room? As the murmurs amplified, he caught sight of his mother, her hands clenched tightly by her sides. Then, unexpectedly, she took a step forward, her gaze shifting between her son and Maria. Would she support him, or annihilate him further? The room held its breath. All eyes waited, and then, an unexpected voice broke the pregnant pause. You need to reconsider your priorities, Max. You might find that what you seek is not what you truly want. It was a chilling reminder of the bitter reality he had faced. Would he succumb to the pressures weighing on him, or find a way to forge a new path? Max's heart would not let him falter. Not now. Not ever, and as he returned to the fire in Maria's eyes, he knew their journey had only just begun. With the echoes of the past haunting him, he wondered what their next move would be. Would they find allies in this moment of truth, or would the forces against them prove too powerful? The tension in the air felt like a taut string, waiting to snap. What awaited them in the next wave of this battle? Max didn't bother to hide the defiance in his gaze. His heart raced, pushing through the fragile silence that wrapped around the room, as if he could beat back the doubts creeping in. The words from that voice lingered, heavy and accusing. You might find that what you seek is not what you truly want. He clenched his fists, the warmth of Maria's hand reassuring him as it whispered the strength of their bond. The whispers in the crowd grew louder, some edged toward support, while others snapped into renewed judgment. Why are you defending her? His father's voice rang out, sharp and sickeningly calm. Do you really expect these people, your family, to accept her? Max could feel the stakes rising higher, each eye in the room measuring his worth, judging him for every breath he took. Acceptance isn't something to barter for. He snapped back, feeling electric with rage. It should be a given. If you can't see that you're the ones choosing division, not me, then maybe it's time for a change. Enough, Max, his mother finally interjected, her usual composure starting to unravel. You're heading down a path that will only lead to regret. Do you even understand what you're risking? He swallowed hard, grappling with the truth hidden beneath her concern. Maybe I'm okay with risking it all. Maybe the future I want to build, one filled with love and kindness, is worth all of this. Suddenly, he could feel the weight of Maria's gaze, steady and unwavering. In that moment, it all crystallized: the laughter they shared, the way she filled his life with color, the warmth in her smile when he least expected it. He took a deep breath. Can't you see that what we've built together is more important than the opinions of others? Your naivete astounds me, Mrs. Thompson hissed, shock rippling through her poise like waves crashing against rocks. Each word was a stab, but Max held his ground. She blinked rapidly, and for a fleeting moment, he thought he'd seen something else in her eyes, a flicker of understanding, perhaps that a chuckle broke the tension from a man in the back, an acquaintance of his father's. Perhaps you're right. Love and kindness can't pay the bills, though. The laughter that followed was mingled with scorn, triggering despair to claw at Max's resolve, but he wasn't backing down. No, he countered, voice rising to meet the challenge. But they build a future worth fighting for. The crowd fell silent again. Uncertainty flowed through the air, thick enough to cut. Maria stepped forward, her voice soft yet commanding. We've been taught to fear differences instead of embracing them. What if this moment of division is the start of understanding instead? A few heads turned, struggles echoed in the whispers from the crowd. Emotions rippled like water, beginning to bend, perhaps even break, the unforgiving facade of old expectations. Maybe, another voice chimed in, tentative yet searching. A young woman from the family's inner circle spoke up, maybe we should listen to him. This is the 21st century, after all. Max's heart soared with hope. It was only a small crack in the wall, but cracks could expand. Are you really willing to let love be overshadowed by status? Now, everyone felt it, the shift, the subtle possibility of transformation. Lives intertwined through shared moments of vulnerability, through acceptance, through the courage to stand firm. Enough. His father thundered, voice cutting through the optimism gathering. This is ridiculous. If you continue down this foolish path, you'll have to face the consequences. You understand that? Perhaps the consequences are worth facing, Max responded, his tone defiant, yet carrying the weight of vulnerability. As the murmurs intensified, Max found himself facing not just his family but the expectations of a lifetime forged in silence and hierarchies, and in that crucial moment, he knew that whatever came next, friends turned foes, allies emerging unexpectedly, all of it was part of the struggle toward a more authentic existence. Would he keep pushing for a future steeped in love, or would fear drive him back into the shadows? As the tension surged once more, Max wondered if the room could ever accept this newfound vision, or if the fight had only just begun. Max's heart hammered in his chest, a war drums pounding through the uncertainty that infused the air. He felt a suffocating wave of emotion wash over him as the weight of his father's words settled like a heavy fog. Consequences. The term rolled off his father's tongue with a chilling finality, the moment hung suspended. He glanced at Maria, every silent exchange they had ever shared now felt amplified in this charged atmosphere. They stood on a precipice, together, but the ground felt shaky beneath them. Do you want to turn your back on everything you've ever known? His mother pressed, her voice softening, seeking to reclaim some semblance of the connection they once had. Max, think about your future. Think about your career. My career? Max shot back, the irony tasting bitter in his mouth. Is my career more important than being happy? More important than being true to myself? The words hung in the silence, vibrating with a truth that echoed in the hearts of a few others in the crowd. Max took one step forward, breaking the invisible boundaries between them all. I refuse to be molded into what you expect me to be. It's not worth it if it means sacrificing who I am or who I love. His father's expression twisted into something unreadable, a mixture of fury and disbelief. The whispers began again. Some sounded supportive, but others still echoed the old prejudices, fueled by years of expectations. One by one, members of the family, aunts and uncles, friends connected by blood and history, began to murmur among themselves. Max could see the gears turning, the conflict wrestling within them. He had opened a door, but what lay on the other side? Max, Maria said, her voice steady but tinged with anxiety, you have to be careful. We're challenging a whole legacy here. Isn't that exactly what we need? He urged, desperation creeping into his tone. A legacy built on acceptance instead of fear. One that embraces love, no matter where it comes from. Suddenly, a voice rang out with surprising clarity, a cousin he hadn't seen much of lately. I've been confused for so long, she said, glancing around nervously at the others. But if we're really family, shouldn't we be supporting each other, rather than tearing each other down? A ripple of empathy spread through the room. Max felt a flicker of hope reignite within him. Could this be the moment when something shifted? Exactly. He pressed, emboldened. We're stronger when we stand together. There's enough love in this world for all of us. Don't let the past define who we are moving forward. Mr. Thompson's face flushed with anger. This is unacceptable. You're willing to throw away everything for a fleeting desire? No, Max replied firmly. It's not fleeting. It's real. It's the best decision I've ever made. And I refuse to back down. A low murmur swept through the crowd, mingled with uncertainty and intrigue. Max noticed Maria's grip tightening around his hand, grounding him, reminding him that the true fight was not just for acceptance, but for the right to love openly and without fear. Max's determination surged as he captured the room's attention. This isn't just about me or my love for Maria. This is about every single person out there who has felt shamed or ostracized for being themselves. Isn't a time we end this cycle? A few heads nodded slowly, almost imperceptibly, but it was a start. Skepticism lingered as his father prepared to counter, but Max could feel the shift. What if his words could crack the armor some of them wore? What if love, real love, could redefine their future? Max, this isn't how we solve family issues, his mother whispered, desperation edging her voice, almost pleading. Maybe it's exactly how we start to solve them, he countered, determination sparking in his eyes. Perhaps it's time we face these family issues head-on. A heavy silence descended, pregnant with possibilities. Could it be that this moment was fate lying in wait? What would happen if they let go of the weight that had bound them for too long? Max stepped forward, heart racing not just from fear, but hope. They were on the brink of transformation, on the edge of something new, and he couldn't turn back. And then, as if sensing the hesitation in the crowd, Maria took a deep breath, ready to speak again. Would her voice bolster the movement or send it crashing into despair? The tension thickened like quickening storm clouds, and Max could feel the world swirling with the weight of their decisions. Maria's eyes shone with fierce determination as she steadied herself. The room felt electric, every gaze fixed on her and Max. It was a moment of reckoning. With a deep breath, she stepped slightly forward, squeezing Max's hand. I didn't plan to speak today, she began, her voice rising above the murmurs. But Max is right. This isn't just about him. It's about all of us. She paused, scanning the faces in the crowd. The familiar looks of love, doubt, and fear mingled together. Growing up, I always felt like I needed to fit into a mold, like there was this script I was supposed to follow, she continued. But when I met Max, everything changed. He showed me that it's okay to step outside that script and be my true self. There was a warmth in her eyes, a light that hinted at shared laughter, quiet moments, and love. I think deep down, a lot of us have felt that pressure, Maria pressed on, her heart hammering in her chest as she fought against old insecurities. Pressure to be perfect, to follow family traditions, and to uphold expectations. But what if we could lean into who we truly are? What if our differences became our strength? A few family members exchanged glances, pondering the truth in her words. Max's heart soared. Maybe, just maybe, they would find common ground at Mr. Thompson tapped his foot, eyes narrowing as he scrutinized his son and Maria. You can't be serious, he exclaimed, voice rising over hers. You've known each other for such a short time. You think you can redefine our family legacy with a misguided notion of love? Maria stood taller, her resolve unyielding. It's not misguided. It's real. Love is not bound by time. It's about connection and understanding and being brave enough to embrace it. Max watched as Maria's bravery set a ripple of movement through the crowd. A few small nods, cautious yet hopeful, began to surface. The fabric of their family might not be as tight as it seemed, there was room to weave new patterns. In every family, she continued, drawing strength from Max's gaze, there are stories of love, some whispered, some hidden. Why not share them openly? Their cousin spoke again, voice clearer now. You're right, Maria. I've struggled too. I've felt trapped under the weight of what everyone expected. It's exhausting. We deserve space to breathe, to love freely. A murmur of agreement flowed through the room as others joined in, slowly breaking the dam of silence. Shared stories began to unfold, revealing struggles and triumphs. The air thickened with emotion, hope blossoming where there had been tension moments before. Max turned to Maria, a smile breaking through his anxiety. Look at this, he whispered. Can you believe it? Yeah, she replied, heart beating fiercely. It's beautiful, but we're not there yet. We still have to face your dad. With a thorn of uncertainty still abuzz in the air, Mr. Thompson stood rigid, his authority challenged. This is nonsense. Families don't just change overnight. You can't simply throw away traditions because it feels too difficult. Why can't we make space for both? Maria challenged, voice steady. Tradition doesn't have to mean exclusion. It can evolve, just like we have. We just need to come together. All eyes turned to him, waiting for a response. Max could sense the strain in his father, could see the conflict in his features, a mixture of love, fear, and desperation warring within him. The air grew thick, pulsating with unspoken words. Dad, please, Max began, heart racing, can't you see that this is what we need? A family that thrives on love and acceptance? Isn't that the legacy worth fighting for? The moment froze. Would his father yield, or would he dig in, casting them into a deeper division? A tense silence enveloped them, thick with anticipation. In the silence, questions hung heavy. Were they truly ready to confront the heart of their family, their very foundation, and reshape it together? And then there was a shift, a barely perceptible movement in Mr. Thompson, a breath taken that hinted at a different possibility. Could love lead to change, even in the hardest of hearts? What would happen if they opened that door just a crack? The room held its breath. All eyes were fixed on Mr. Thompson, who stood at the center of the storm. His jaw clenched tightly, a storm brewing behind those usually calm blue eyes. Max's heart raced like a runaway train, each beat a loud reminder of everything that hung in the balance. Change is hard, Mr. Thompson finally said, his voice steady but tinged with weariness. He glanced at the faces surrounding him, the uncertainty mirrored back at him. You've put a lot of thought into this, I can see that. But you're asking me to throw away everything I've stood for. Maria took a small step back, sensing the weight of his words. We're not asking you to erase tradition, she said, her voice soft yet firm. We're hoping to add to it. Create something new that incorporates both love and legacy. What we're asking for is the chance to exist without compromise. A few gasps scattered throughout the room. Maria's honesty pierced through the veil of tension just as the sun pierced the morning mist. Max tightened his grip on her hand, finding strength in her fearless honesty. Mr. Thompson's eyes flickered with emotions, confusion, frustration, and perhaps the smallest hint of hope. And what will that mean for us? Our family? Our name? The last question hung like a weight, pressing against the fragile truce they began to forge. It means we grow, Dad. Together, Max responded, urgency coloring his tone. Tradition doesn't have to die. It can evolve. Look around. People want to connect, to share their lives fully. If you love me, if you love this family, can't you see that your refusal to accept us does more harm than good? The room was still once more, a fragile peace settling over them. Keychains jingled nervously, chairs creaked slightly as family members shifted uncomfortably. It felt as if the entire world was hanging on Mr. Thompson's next words. "It's easier to cling to what we know," he said, eyeing the floor. "It fights the uncertainty that change brings." Another voice broke through the silence. "I think we're all afraid, Uncle," their cousin chimed in, pushing past the anxiety. "But maybe fear is what has kept us apart." A murmur of agreement echoed, and suddenly it wasn't just Max and Maria fighting for acceptance. It was a whole collective of voices that joined the chorus. Familiar faces offered their own stories of love, struggle, and yearning for acceptance. "I didn't tell you about my partner until last year," one aunt admitted, her expression softening. "I worried how you would feel. I didn't want to be the reason for any fights." Maria blinked back tears. This vulnerability, their collective shame and struggles, was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It transformed the room into a tapestry of shared experiences, woven tighter by threads of compassion and courage. Cautiously, Mr. Thompson raised his gaze. The hard lines on his face softened, revealing cracks in his armor. "You all deserve a chance," he said slowly, almost as if he were testing the words. "You deserve to share your happiness." Maria felt the floor shift beneath her, the possibility of acceptance coursing through the air like a warm breeze. "Can you open that door for us, Dad?" A heavy silence fell. Was it enough? Was he ready to step into the unknown, ready to embrace his son and Maria fully? Max could sense the shifting tides, but would his father's heart go where it needed to? As everyone waited, glued to the moment, the weight of hope and fear mixed. The dawn of transformation was at hand, but big shifts come with their own challenges. The question remained, if they stepped into this new chapter, could they hold together through any storms that may come? Mr. Thompson inhaled deeply, his gaze shifting from Maria to Max, and then finally to the surrounding family. "What will this mean for our family legacy?" he asked quietly, the tension thickening once more. Max could feel the universe collapsing into that single moment. What was he about to say? Would he begin to rewrite their family story, or would they remain bound to the past? Mr. Thompson's voice lingered in the air like a held breath, each second stretching taut with possibility. Max's heart raced, caught between hope and fear, unsure of whether they were about to leap into light or fall into darkness. "Dad," Max began, his voice steady, even as his insides churned. "What matters most is that we support each other. The legacy isn't about tradition, it's about love and acceptance. Our names will grow stronger by embracing who we all are, together." Mr. Thompson looked down, as if searching for answers in the plush carpet beneath his shoes. The weight of his family's expectations rested heavy on his shoulders. Around him, the empathetic eyes of relatives weighed on him. They needed direction, but more than that, they needed to witness their patriarch choose them. A flicker of warmth stirred in Maria's chest. She knew she had to be brave. "You taught us that true strength lies in understanding. In love. Can't you see that by holding on so tightly to the past, you're suffocating what we could become?" One family member shifted in their seat, painfully aware of the tension. The small room felt impossibly cramped, as if it were closing in on them, amplifying the silence that followed Mr. Thompson's hesitant reply. He started, pausing as though the words were trapped inside him. "I don't want to lose you both." His voice shook slightly, trembling like leaves in a breeze. "If I say yes, it feels like I'm admitting I've been wrong, that everything I believed." "No one is saying you were wrong," Max said gently, compassion flowing through his voice. "You've always done what you thought was best. But there's a different view now, a bigger picture. It includes acceptance, not just of who we are, but who we can become as a family." A wave of murmurs rippled through the room. Max's cousins exchanged glances, nodding. The walls he built around his heart seemed to be crumbling, brick by brick, as memories of laughter, support, and love swelled to the forefront of Mr. Thompson's mind. "Maybe I've been stopping you from living your truth," he whispered, still not looking up. There was a tremble in his hands as he rubbed them together, a man grappling with the paradox of lost time and the promise of new beginnings. "You don't have to do it alone," Maria said, stepping forward. Let us write a new legacy, one shaped by all our voices, not just one's fear. Max felt his heart swell with pride. She was right, they didn't have to walk this path by themselves. The reality of their situation settled around them like a comforting blanket. Family wasn't just blood, it was love and support too. Finally, Mr. Thompson lifted his gaze, and when their eyes locked, something profound shifted in that space between them. For the first time, understanding danced in his eyes. Okay, he breathed, the word fragile yet resolute. Let us take that step together. Relief washed over the room, tears of joy breaking free from anxious eyes. The air lightened as laughter emerged, small at first but building swiftly into a hopeful chorus, embracing the vision of a united family. But just as celebration began to fill the air, a sudden buzz from his pocket cut through the moment, jolting everyone back to reality. Max's phone lit up, displaying a message. The content sent a chill through him. We need to talk. It's about your future. Max's heart plummeted. What could this mean? Was there more at stake than family acceptance? As the celebration began to fade into murmurs of curiosity, Max steeled himself. What lay ahead? Would this new acceptance stand firm against the life-changing news waiting for him? Max stood there, tension coiling in his stomach like a tightly wound spring. The joyous laughter around him felt distant, almost like echoes from another world. He took a slow, deep breath, bearing the weight of what was to come. His phone buzzed again, as if reminding him of the urgency embedded within that message. He glanced at Maria, her eyes filled with concern but also unwavering support. There was no turning back now, this was the moment of truth for them all. Gathering his courage, Max stepped away from the throng of relatives who were savoring the breakthrough of understanding, and he made his way towards the back of the room. Max, where are you going? Maria's voice followed him, more a gentle reminder than a command. He needed her strength by his side, but he also knew this call would demand his focus. I just need a moment to think, he murmured, sounding more uncertain than he intended. He stepped out into the cool night air once more, the familiar scent of jasmine grounding him amid the uncertainty. He opened the message, letting it seep in an invitation to a meeting about his future. The words blurred as his heart pounded. The family expectations were looming again, tinted with the same pressures he was starting to defy. Deep down, he felt frightened. The reality of his privileged life clashed with the new dreams he was beginning to weave alongside Maria. What would they want to say? Did they think that by expressing love and acceptance, he was willing to throw it all away? Why couldn't they just understand that he wanted freedom to choose love over obligation? Max? Maria had followed him outside, her voice a lifeline cutting through the weight of his worries. She stepped closer, enveloped him in a gentle embrace that quashed the anxiety spiraling within him. Is everything all right? He glanced over her shoulder, back toward the open doors of the ballroom, where shadows danced with the flickering light. I just got a text, it's about a meeting regarding my future, he admitted, the words slipping past his lips like an unguarded confession. Do you have to go? She asked carefully, as if weighing every syllable, her concern evident. Max shook his head, frustration bubbling up again. I don't know. They want to talk about my future, but it's like they don't see what I've just discovered, what we've built together. Maria reached for his hand, grounding him once more. You've changed, Max, and so have I. We all have. You don't have to let this message dictate what your life should be. You can choose the future you want. Her words pierced through the fog of uncertainty. Suddenly, he saw himself standing tall, forging ahead on the path he truly wished to walk. He looked her in the eyes, a rush of realization crashing over him. You're right, he said, feeling the confidence rekindle within him. I'm through letting anyone else decide my life for me. And I'm tired of pretending. Hand in hand, they turned back toward the party, where the echoes of support still lingered. Would it be easy? He doubted it, but he felt like he could face whatever came next with Maria at his side. The ballroom crackled with celebration, quieter now, but the air filled with a mixture of warmth and hope. As they stepped back inside, the collective energy shifted to a chorus of anticipation, eyes darting toward Max and Maria's interlaced fingers. Max. His father's voice boomed over the chatter, but there was a different tone in him, less tense and more contemplative. Where have you been? We want you here with us. Max felt the weight of past expectations on his shoulders, but he took a breath and stood firm, opening his mouth to speak. I'm here, Dad, but things are different now. I didn't want to hide anymore. Mr. Thompson faltered, meeting Max's gaze with a blend of surprise and deliberation. The room hushed, all eyes trained on the exchange happening between father and son. There was a yearning for resolution painted onto countless faces. This isn't about rules and legacies, Max pressed softly, trying to give his father a glimpse into his newly awakened heart. It's about who we choose to love and how we choose to support one another. The room buzzed, filled with palpable suspense. Would they understand? Would they embrace this change? Maria stepped toward him, confidence radiating from her presence. Everyone deserves a chance to be accepted for who they are. Even if that means we have to break down walls we've built over the years. At that moment, the truth was not lost on anyone. In each heart, a flicker of hope took root, the promise of harmony grounded by love and acceptance. Slowly, the expressions in the room shifted, uncertainty yielding to contemplation. Perhaps Mr. Thompson began to see that the legacy could be redefined. It could certainly thrive under a canopy of love rather than rigid expectations. Max held his breath as his father processed this reality, the silence stretching taut in the air. Everyone leaned in, a collective wish for understanding echoing through their hearts. Finally, Mr. Thompson spoke. You're right, son. Perhaps there's wisdom in taking steps forward together. The weight of his admission reverberated through the room, igniting a cascade of relief. I'd like that, Dad, Max replied, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling beneath the surface. From that moment onward, everything began to shift. Acceptance poured forth, washing over the family like a balm. A bridge formed across generations, allowing all voices to be heard. Together, they would venture into this new chapter, forged through love and transformed by resilience. As laughter surged once more through the air, renewed joy radiated across the room. Max smiled at Maria, grateful for the journey they had navigated hand in hand. Together, they found not just acceptance, but a bond strengthened by the trials they had faced, encouraging others to love fiercely, honestly, and unconditionally. And just like that, a new legacy was born. Now it was time for you to take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our upcoming, exclusive stories filled with heart and transformation. Leave a like now to show your support. This truly makes a difference. And comment below, share your feelings about this inspiring ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this message of love and connection. This is the moment to let your voice be heard. It matters.